Alright, so today's topic is how to train Jiu Jitsu for your body type. So this is going to be too much info for one video, so I'm going to break this down into multiple shorter videos, and I'm going to turn this into, it's going to be a little mini-series. So in this mini-series, I'm going to talk about all the different body types and how to train or learn techniques that are going to work well for you. So my name is Gil Alcocer. I started training Jiu Jitsu back in 2008. I opened up my own academy, the Jiu Jitsu Institute, back in 2018, and I received my black belt from the Mendez brothers in 2019. So real quick, I'm just going to start off by listing all the different body types slash attributes. So the body types, you're going to have your average one, just like an average body type. Then you're going to have long and thin body types. There's the big giant guys. There's the short and stocky guys. There's the very small, just short and thin, just small people. And then I'm going to throw in there older guys, because that's kind of a body type, I guess. And then some of the biggest attributes to think about is going to be stuff I covered in other videos, but flexible, stiff, strong, athletic, cardio machines, and then creative, like a creative mind, basically. Alright, so for this first video, I'm going to start off with the average body type. This is, I consider myself to be an average body type. So roughly between 5'9" and 6 foot. I'm right there at the top, 6 foot. And then 180 pounds to about 200 pounds. If you want to go by D size, it's going to be typically, depending on the brand, it's going to be size A2 to A3. Those are going to be your average size. And I can tell you, as someone that owns an academy, I sell the most A2s and A3s when it comes to adults. So like I said, my body type, not too tall, not too short, not particularly strong, not particularly flexible, don't have the best cardio, I'm not the most athletic. I'm just kind of solid 7 or 8 everywhere, basically. Except maybe flexibility. I might be lower than 7 on flexibility. But I am working on that, and that's going to be future topics for this channel. So the way I kind of think about being average, the average body type, it's going to kind of be the Goldilocks zone. Definitely has its pros and cons, as do all the body types. So my thoughts are this might be the worst body type for competition if you have competitor, world-class competition aspirations. But at the same time, the trade-off is I think this is the best body type for an instructor or a future instructor. And this was something I came to realize after I had started teaching for a while. So because I'm the average, the median, whatever you want to call it, I end up rolling with some people were the same size, a bunch of people, they're the big guy, I'm the little guy, and then vice versa, where they're the little guy and I'm the big guy. Sometimes I'm the faster guy, sometimes I'm the slower guy. So again, I think it's good for teaching and bad for competing. So at least the highest level of competition, I would say. I don't particularly shine in any one area, which I personally believe it's very important for the elite level, because so everyone at the elite level, they're going to be like 9s across the board on every spot. And then to be the really big standouts, like a Gordon Ryan or a Tynan or a Micah or something like that, Mikey Musumeci, I think you're gonna have to excel in one area, above everyone else, pretty much everyone in the world. It's gonna be a key attribute will help you get to the top if you have that one area where maybe you're above 10, because you are the best in the world, so you're an 11 at something in particular. Which if you're average, like I said, I'm at least a 7 everywhere across the board, but I don't think I'm a 10 at anything. But then on the other hand, why I think it's good for being an instructor is I've personally dealt with being in the situation, having the same point of view as most other people. Because like I said, sometimes I'm the little guy, so I get small person point of view, and sometimes I'm the big guy, so I get the big guy point of view. So as you can imagine, that could be very, very useful, very helpful for teaching students, because I understand the being big, the big and small, not being flexible enough or not being strong enough for certain things based on your particular opponent. Also with that, I couldn't just dedicate myself to a particular area of technique and use it on everyone, because same thing, I'm going to be running into someone who's bigger and stronger than me sometimes. So if it's a power move, it's not going to work on them. But I'm also going to be running into someone smaller and faster. So if it's just a small, super fast technique where I'm using my speed, like, it's not going to work on the smaller guys. I learned that. I'd say I learned that the hard way around like brown belt, like rolling with like real small guys who are really good. But like I just couldn't get inside because I was too big and they weren't burning that much cardio for them. It wasn't that much energy. But me being bigger, having more blood to pump around, I got exhausted. And then they would be able to start taking over from there. So if you have the average body type, so how should you train if you have the average body type? So being in the Goldilocks zones mean the pro of that is like you can pretty much do anything outside of the extremes. If you have to be extremely flexible or extremely strong or have extremely good cardio, like you're not going to shine there. But maybe you're average overall and you do have something pretty good, like you are still quite flexible or quite strong for your average size, something like that, then you can kind of dabble into that a little bit further. So I believe fundamentals, they're good for every single body type, every single person. Everyone should be doing fundamentals. That's literally like the definition of what the fundamentals are. But outside of that, you can kind of go with whatever you like. When I'm the big guy, I can work on big guy jiu-jitsu. Like, I got a good close guard, I'm really good at smash passing, I'm really good from the mount. Mount in particular is a good spot. You get to use your size as an advantage to finish someone, like cross collar chokes or arm bars. Compared to where when you get on the back, smaller guys tend to like the back because the size part is like neutralized. When I'm the smaller guy, I can turn up the speed, work on some pressure passing, try to get to the back and try to neutralize if they're the big strong guy, try to see what it feels like to neutralize their size and strength by getting to their back and then working a submission from there. And then like I always say this, although anyone can train any techniques, I believe the average body type is forced to train all the different areas, which leads to being more knowledgeable in all the areas. Obviously, if you train it, you're knowledgeable there. If you're 130 pounds and all you do is speed passing and small guy jiu-jitsu, how are you going to teach a whole academy, or not a whole academy, but how are you going to teach an academy and then teach your subsection of big, heavy, slow pressure passer guys, maybe older guys, if you've never been a pressure passer, and then vice versa. If you're like a big, strong guy who just does nothing but pressure passing, how are you going to teach speed passing to like your little small guys? But with that being said, you still can specialize in areas in your jiu-jitsu. And again, basically any area. For example, like I just mentioned, I'm big enough to pressure pass. I mentioned I like pressure passing, and I'm big enough where I can pressure pass someone that's quite big. Like I could pressure pass 250, 260 guys pretty consistently. It's not going to be much of an issue. There's still outliers, like someone's 350 pounds. It's probably just going to be easier to speed pass them. But I have the ability. I'm not so small that I can't pressure pass a big guy. I'm kind of in, again, like that Goldilocks zone where I can do pressure passing. And I do pressure passing, and I prefer pressure passing. I love it. And I specialized in that for years. Most of my first years before I ever went out to California and trained with the Mendez brothers. Those guys, they aren't that big on pressure passing. They're more like the speed passing type. But then, on the complete opposite direction of that, go the complete other way. I love all the Berimbolo stuff, which is why I chose to go to AOJ and train under the Mendez brothers. Because I have an average body type, I'm still able to invert. I'm still flexible enough, and I'm not so small that it's like really scary to get under the bigger guys when I'm inverted and things like that. Again, there's limits to this. I'm not going to invert under someone who's 350 pounds. And then my two personal favorites of all time, my top two that I always say, and I love them both so much I can't pick one to be better than the other one, but it makes perfect sense if you just go by with those two things I just said. Roger Gracie, the ultimate pressure passer, super fundamental basic jiu-jitsu, and then Rafa Mendez, who he's like the most creative and the most innovative, especially in the Berimbolo position in particular. So long story short, the average body type you can train almost everything. So you can just work on whatever you're just attracted to. You don't have to have like, oh, I can't do this because of this. You can pretty much do whatever you want to do. That's the big perk to it. But then the downside is, I believe it's harder to become like a world champ, like the elitist, highest level of competition. Because again, if it's worlds, you're gonna fight the best guys in the world at your weight class. So if someone in your weight class is a lot shorter than you and stockier than you, they're going to be the best in the world at that game plan, and they're always going to be the shorter, stockier guy, or at least matching each other. So they've seen it a million times. And maybe I've seen it a lot, but then on the flip side, I'm going to also run into the guys who are maybe super tall and lanky for my division, and they're going to always be super tall and lanky for their division, and they're going to always be used to fighting like the shorter, stockier guys, or like the average in the middle kind of range, where they're going to be the best in the world at that. So I have to be able on both sides of that, or as an average competitor, average body type competitor, you're going to have to be able to deal with that on both sides, which means you have to be the best in the world at this and the best in the world at that. So it's I don't know, I want to say it's like 33, like a third of a percent more of things you have to be like the best at. I don't know if that makes sense, but hopefully you get what I'm trying to get at with that. But that's the end of this video, so please make sure to like and subscribe to see the rest of the series that's coming up. And next is going to be, I'm going to do a video on the big giant guys, the 6'8", 330 pounds, like the A6 size geese. And then please leave any comments, tell me any ideas or differences you see from my thoughts and your body types, because maybe not that many from the average one, but there are going to be other body types that I do not have myself.